Pacific Island leaders will gather in the New Caledonia capital tomorrow to discuss the critical challenges linked to climate change. The high-level dialogue on climate change is being convened by the Secretariat of the Pacific Community (SPC), following an invitation extended to the President of the Republic of France, Francois Hollande, and the French Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Development, Laurent Fabius. SPC Director General Dr. Colin Tuquitonga says the dialogue will give Pacific leaders a platform to move the agenda forward on the serious climate change challenge for the region and its real impact on the lives of Pacific Islanders.
We've found out that the President of the Republic of France was in Brisbane for the G20 and was visiting New Caledonia, so we took the opportunity to invite him to visit SPC, and we are delighted, of course, that the President has accepted our invitation. The Secretariat of the Pacific Community, SPC, is delighted to have convened this high-level dialogue between the President of the French Republic and leaders from around the Pacific region, because it's an opportune time to step up our actions on climate change and to prepare for Paris 21 and December 2015.
Leaders will discuss the profound effect of climate change on people's livelihoods, including the access to food and water. Kiribati's head of state, President Anote Tong, who has been on the forefront of efforts against climate change, will repeat calls for the world's attention to the plight of their people.
It's always been my focus that climate change is very much about people. And the reason why I say that is because it's the scenarios being projected by the IPCC would suggest that it is going to affect the survival and the future of many people, especially those countries on the front line, the most vulnerable countries in the Pacific. Those countries would be my own country, Kiribati, Tuvalu, the Marshall Islands, and of course Tokelau as well as some of the islands within the other island countries. And of course in the Indian Ocean we have the Maldives. So it is very much a people's issue. It's about people.
The Prime Minister of Tuvalu, who is also attending the dialogue, says he's optimistic that a universal climate agreement will be reached during the Climate Change Convention in Paris next year.
Well, I think this is an extremely important opportunity to meet the President of France, and who is going to be the presiding officer for the COP21 in Paris. And hopefully where a global comprehensive agreement to deal with climate change would be concluded. And therefore I think it is extremely important to engage with the President of France, particularly from the perspectives of the small island developing states, the low-lying vulnerable island countries of the Pacific like Tuvalu, Kiribati, and many others in the Pacific.
The SPC Director General hopes France will take forward the case of the Pacific on the global stage.
We are hopeful that this dialogue will broaden understanding on the critical impact of climate change on the small island communities in the Pacific region, including food and water security, health and tourism, and the negative impact of climate change on the development prospects and livelihoods of people in the region.
Government officials and representatives from other Pacific Island countries, including development partners and agencies, will also attend the dialogue. Emily Molly, SPC News.